Hey everybody, Christian West here. I'm glad that you tuned in to What Would You Do? Welcome to the series of videos where Joe and I ask each other critical questions from the executive protection industry. If you like what you see, click here, like and subscribe. And if you have questions that you want us to answer or try to find a solution to, send them to us via email, text. You can find us on social media. I'm sure you have ideas, or you can post them here and we'll play along and take your question. So, welcome to What Would You Do? Season 2.
All right, Christian, so coming off of our detail management course and here at the Close Protection Conference, one of the questions that came up in the course was a client questions you about your advance timing. So how you're sending out advance agents and they question you, okay, why do you need 3 days for an advance? Why do you need 4 days here, 2 days here? So basically you're having to justify how you calculated the time that you're giving your advance agents. So client presents you with that question, what would you do?
Well, it's a really hard one.
It is.
Right? Because client doesn't really understand what an advance is, right? And we're going to be really, really good at doing our advances, right? And documenting our advances. But before that, we got to be really good at shortening down the time that we need, right? Because you can do a pre-advance where you set yourself up for success when you get there. So you don't have to check. Well, that's not true because you have to check everything, but you don't have to start blind, right? The pre-advance is really about saving time on the real advance and making you ready for it. So when you get there, you got to figure out how good and how long time your advance agents are, right? And an advance is different for every client, every venue, based on threat, based on the agent's experience, based on everything that goes on, right? So you got to figure out first, what do we do in advance for this client? And you got to make sure that everybody on the team understands
on that job in that place,
exactly.
Right? Yeah, all that.
Because if you and I went out, you and I have been doing this for a long time, both of us, right? And if we went out and did the same advance for the same client, it would take different times, right, to do them. A lot of people don't get, if you have 3, 4, 5, 6 agents, they all do it differently. Can't do that. You gotta have either a talk, a training, a SharePoint, a shared checklist or whatever, so everybody as a minimum do the same. This is what we do.
Yeah.
Right? Once you have established that, you gotta figure out how long time does that on average take. And then you gotta look at the day. Right? Because a day is whatever long it is. And you got to remember, if I send you somewhere, I own your time, right? Okay. So let's say you want to go out and do advance work. You've got to, as an agent, kind of like prioritize. For instance, if I don't have a lot of advance time, maybe I can advance the airport when I land because I'm already there. So I don't have to drive back there.
Right.
Okay. So that helped me on day 2 or day 1. If I don't have enough time, I don't have to drive out to the airport because I already know that. I was there when I came in with the plane, but how I traveled all day, I might not want to do that. But all of those are the time savers, right? But let's say that a client has 6 meetings in a day or whatever. If it's meetings in a hotel and you advance the hotel, it doesn't take very long to advance each meeting room.
Right. Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
So depending on how that goes, and then you got to figure out what is your average time. And you got to remember, drive to and from.
Right.
But anyway, you got to do that anyway to time how long time it takes, so you know on the agenda you're on time, right? So I usually say, depending on the client, and this is just for me and the people I've taught, an advance can typically take from an hour to 3 hours.
Exactly.
In between there, if it takes longer than 3 hours, it's a special circumstance.
Per location, right?
Per location, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And you got to be sure that you show what you do if you get asked.
Yes.
But more importantly,
that's the challenge here, right?
That is the challenge. Then you got to be able to explain that and articulate that. But also, most of the client I work for typically wouldn't care because they're about their business and they know they have security. But maybe the security manager care, or the EA care, or whoever is in the client's entourage. Those are really the ones you got to show the advanced work for, because you got to remember, if the client is high enough up, he has a PA that also wants him to be on time.
Yeah.
He also wants him to be on the right place at the right time.
Right.
And she's probably the one that coordinates some of the contact persons. So if you work with her, she's the one you need to understand how long time it takes to do your advance, right?
Yeah.
And that's how you calculate it if you're the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you know, when a client asks you a question like that, you don't want to, you know, bumble through an answer. You want to be able to give them something, you know. It's like that's kind of the intent of this question. And I think what you said there is the foundation, the groundwork, if you will. You just off of that, but let's call it 3 hours per location.
Yeah.
That's the you know, okay.
And that's including transport time to
right,
and from.
That's transport to and from, that's everything. And then you adjust from there based on transit time.
Yeah.
So if you have a site that's, you know, if you landed in Rome and you're traveling up to, you know, middle of Italy, that's 2.5 hours transit time. Obviously, that's going to adjust your schedule. If you're going to one location, but it's a venue that you're going to be at for like a resort days, obviously it's going to take more. So you can adjust from there. But guys, I think what Christian said here is that about 3 hours per venue is a really good baseline to be able to justify your time if you're asked. I think so.
Yeah. And of course, it varies per client. Sure. Always. Yeah. Of course. I like that.
Yeah.